Hey, greetings, Tech Art fans. Welcome to another episode of Tech Art Talk Live. Hey, we're going to try something new today. You guys can't see it right now because you can't see my PowerPoint presentations, but in an attempt to be further accessible to the community, I am going to try to create subtitles. And one way or the other, this is going to happen live or it's going to happen during the post process, of which I'm not sure. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but what the hey, we're going to give it a try and see what happens. But today, we're going to deviate a little bit from the pure tech artness. Okay, so yes, this is very appropriate for tech artists, but it's also good for character modelers, environment modelers, animators, riggers, compositors, texture painters, proceduralists. This is all good for all of that. In fact, this is good for just about anybody who is, born under the Homo sapiens thing. It's good for everybody. And so this is part of Chris's overall philosophy of how to be a good tech artist, but not only that, but how to live life to your greatest potential. And this number one tool is a very, 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 very good tool. It's one that I'm very happy of and I'm very, very proud of. And I can't wait to share it with you guys because this is a super duper, really groovy tool. And you'll see that it could help you really get out of a lot of situations. And so as we begin, let's get started with Prayer to the Gods. All right. Okay, Prayer to the Gods. It's a surefire technique to get what you need. All right. If you guys had any reference to the Mystery Men, you would understand what you're talking about. But what we're here is not about getting what you want, it's getting what you need. And this is what is very effective for Prayer to the Gods is always a good tool for that. So what is Prayer to the Gods? Well, as everyone knows that I am the tech art instructor over at the Florida Interactive Entertainment Academy, and students are always coming up to me. They say, Chris, I want to apply to this company, but I don't know how to write a cover letter. I suck at writing cover letters. And I roll my eyes and I say, okay, what do you got to do in order to create a good cover letter? What do you need? You need prayer to the gods. And they say, prayer to the gods? Well, what do you mean? Okay, I say, okay, the prayer to the gods is a template. It's a formula. It's good for helping you not only approach companies, people, everything, but it's pretty much a good technique for helping you get whatever you want and need. And so it's good for, things like cover letters, like how to approach a company and tell them, hey, company, I want to work for you. I'm really groovy and I think you're awesome. So it's good for that. It's good for cold calls. If you got to call somebody up and you got to make a pitch to them and so forth, you might want to use this you might want to use the prayer to the gods in order to try to get them to be a little bit more socially lenient to you. It's good for mentoring. Mentoring is like when you want to get some coaching from somebody or you need some help from somebody. Always seek out mentors. Always seek out people who have done what you're trying to do and are pretty good at it. And they might be willing to just actually spend a little time and help you get to where they are. It's actually very, very helpful. And we'll talk about this at some further point in the future. And sometimes when you need help, there's other times when you need some help and you need to reach out to a higher authority or maybe to some divine intervention, and that might mean an artist who really has done this problem before, a programmer or somebody, and you need to implore upon them for their assistance. Well, prayer to the gods is really good for approaching them with that. So, does it work? Well, I have all of the students in the FIA, all the art students, one of their assignments during the spring semester is that they have to go in and approach somebody who's working in the industry and do an interview with them. Now, they can approach anyone they want, but hopefully it's somebody that they don't know, and this person has to be working in the industry. And honestly, everyone is scared to dickens. And I tell them, use prayer to the gods and you won't have anything to worry about. And you know what? They don't have any problems. In fact, they end up with the most amazing interviews, and the people that they come up with, it's incredible what they come up with. Some of the people that they end up interviewing are really incredible. Back in the day, I used this technique when I was in the film industry. And some of the people I actually succeeded in contacting using of the prayer of the gods was John Carpenter. Come on, you guys all know who John Carpenter is. Halloween, Big Trouble, Little China, all these other in the Mouth of Madness. That John Carpenter. The legendary horror writer. I approached him for a sequence of 3 10-minute interviews, and he complied. It was totally cool. Stuart Gordon. Come on, you guys got to know who Stuart Gordon is. Reanimator. What's the other thing? From Beyond. The Lovecraft horror filmmaker, Stuart Gordon. This guy, he complied with the exact same thing. Now, I did try at this time Peter Jackson, and regretfully, he wasn't able to provide me with the interviews, but he did write back to me personally and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like to help you, but I'm in the middle of filming The Storming of Helm's Deep at the moment, and so I'm a little bit busy, but please, consider me afterwards." I've never reached out to him afterwards and reminded him about it, but I really appreciate it. So that does happen. And many of my other students have wanted to reach out to other people, but they wanted me to help. So for all of the people out in the industry, and if you're a notable and somebody might want to contact you, don't be surprised if I send you a query letter and I kind of like pave the way for my students, because I pretty much use prayer to the gods every single time when I reach out to people. So you might want to say, okay, prayer to the gods, where did this all come from? Now, I did not create the prayer to the gods. I'd like to say that I did, but I didn't. The ancient Greeks figured this out. When they wanted to go and they wanted to say a prayer to Zeus, because they had a big old battle to come by and they needed some extra magic powers or some swords or a shield to help them kick ass with, what do? They employed the prayer to the gods, and I did not create it, but, I do know how to use it. And I use it all the time for cover letters, and I use it for just general requests, and I use, basically use it for favors. So what is the prayer of the gods? Well, real quickly, here's the outline. Okay, it starts off with the greetings, and then there's a praise where you got to praise the gods. Then you got to tell them who your daddy is. You got to tell them a little bit about some kind of mutual frame of reference. You got to tell them a little bit about you. You got to tell them what you want. Then you got to express, how you, as the individual, can help the god. You got to give them your availability, and you got to tell them how you are contributing to their greatness, because gods are vain, really, overlong, and everyone loves a little bit of complimentary, but gods want to be greater, and so you are helping the god to be greater, and so this is why they're going to help you. All right, so let's talk about greetings and salutations. All right, you got to say hello to the gods, because otherwise they won't know that you're praying to them. They don't know you're talking to them. So just go ahead and just be a person and say, "Hello, God, how you doing? Nice day today, huh?" All right. Once you've established some greetings, then what you got to do is you got to praise the gods. Everybody loves a little bit of flattery, and it really does get you far. So think about, what do you really love about the gods? How do they make you feel, and how important they are to your way of life. Now, this is important, folks, because you got to be sincere. You got to be sincere, because this has got to come from the heart. When it comes from the heart, it approaches them and it speaks right to them. Then the next thing you got to do is tell them, who's your daddy? Meaning that always try to create a mutual association that can be counter-referenced when needed. Now, this is really, really good, especially when breaking the ice on doing a cold call. This is very, very helpful. Now, while this step is not actually essential, it is extraordinarily helpful. My suggestion is if you don't have a daddy to reference inside of your initial communication, throw on some more compliments and throw on some more like how the you believe that the sun rises and sets with this person, and they'll usually listen to you. Well, you got to tell them a little bit about yourself. You got to tell them, a little bit about, what your experience are. You got to tell them what your passions are, and what gets you excited. Other than them, of course. Remember, you're cultivating a relationship, and this is the first time, so you got to have a little bit of a forward and backward exchange. Then you got to tell them, what do you want? Now, this is the meat and potatoes of the letter, because ultimately you're defining what you want. And this is the time that if you're having a problem, this is the time to define the problem. And so what you're doing is defining the situation, explaining what the circumstances are, and it's an indirect call to action. So how can you help the gods? So this is really how you are going to help the gods out. This is where you can provide some kind of service for the gods. So if you're doing a cover letter, what job are you applying for? And why would you make a good candidate? But most probable, when I says when you can help the gods, why are you worthy of the gods' attention? And what are you, above all other mortals, deserving of their attention? This is where you got to put a little bit of get rid of that humble hat. You got to show off a little bit. You got to show them why that you got the goods. All right. Then you have to give your availability and contact information. Now, in reality, this is really just the call to action. And this is where you have to specifically say what you exactly want and what you want them to do and how to do it. Now, this is purely a professional consideration which demonstrates you being marketable and reliable. And so what this tells the gods is that you are professional and that you think things out, and you have a strategy. And what's most importantly, how is this is like super important. How are you going to make the god look good? Yeah, they've got to feel good about themselves, and you've got to do something to make the god look even better. And so that's a natural segue into the last section is how are you going to be contributing to their greatness? Now you got to this is just where you're excited about working with the gods. This is about, once again, just pure emotion, just gushing forth and dealing with the gods. So go ahead and praise them, oh God. They say flattery will get you everywhere, and it's true. Yeah, and so get out the flatteriness. Tell them how awesome it would be to contribute to the god, and help make them great. Because what you're doing is, by you helping the god become great, there's something you're going to benefit along the way. You're going to become great along the way too. So that's a mutual benefit for both people, but it's really got to be about making the god great by having the wisdom, suggesting them that you are the person for this job. And that's the reason why you're helping them out, is because you're about to enter into their reality. All right, I have an example here that I created, which is kind of based on an application that I did create. And this kind of shows you what something like this would actually look like. Now, I removed all of the names and so forth in here, so just to give you a kind of indication of what this might look like. But it starts off by, greetings, Kay. On these isolated days of chaos, I am very excited about your work. Your partnership with A is groundbreaking. I've followed A since 2015. Their work creating immersive experiences on top of physical props and sets is mind-blowing. Okay, DI's narrative production skills combined with A's immersive technology experience is an industry-leading combination. Okay, my name is Chris Rhoda, and I produce 3D computer graphics empowering people to be the hero of their own story. DC suggested that I drop you an email. D and I work together on multiple WDI projects since 2002. Now, as a long-time computer graphics production supervisor, I have over 15 years experience in feature film and theme park creation and 6 years of AAA game production. I am currently the Technical Art Director at UCF/FIA. I would love to discuss with you the opportunity for joining your team as a Technical Art Director. I devoted my professional career to the study and development of immersive experience, and my contributing to your industry-leading location-based immersive experience would be a dream come true. My number is 6060842, and my email address is chris@techartedu.com. I'll be available for employment anytime after 8/1/20. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you much success with your industry domination. Okay, so that is how one of these letters would look like. All right, you got to be sincere. When going through these steps, this has all got to come from the heart. It can't be from fluff. So this is really where you got to think about what about this company, what about this person, inspires you, makes you wonderful, what makes you want to reach out to them. Be honest. This is where it all comes through. The BS stinks when you're not sincere. So use the prayer of the gods. Use it to your advantage. Use it to get mentors. Use it to get help. Use it to advance your career. It's an overall great tool to be used in every single day. If you have any questions, come and talk to me. It does work. I promise you it does work. All right. Send me your requests. Tech Art Talk Live is got the web page on Facebook, and it is on Instagram, and it is on Twitter. So subscribe to my YouTube channel at Chris Rhoda, and tell me what you want to know. I don't know what I'm going to be showing next week, and so if you want to have something, please go ahead and show it. I did have a request to give an introduction to Vex and Niagara. And that's a little bit specific, and it's a little less abstract than a little bit more abstract than what I'm used to. But if no one else asks me for anything, I might just give a crash course into Niagara because, in my humble opinion, UE5 is going to be the bomb. It's going to be the one everyone's going to follow. All right. Contact me at Chris at TechArtEDU if you have any questions, any suggestions, or any of these social media avenues, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Tech Art Talk Live, and I will see you next week, and have a great week ahead. Ciao.